I'm Adrienne Mann, and I am here because of the assignment assigned in Education 321. And today I'm going to be talking about the Brozo teaching technique, vocabulary self-awareness. This technique can be really beneficial for any subject, but today I'm going to be really emphasizing and focusing on using it in reading. There are many Brozo techniques out there you can use as a teacher. I picked this one just because I remember doing the vocabulary self-awareness many times when I was in high school and even a little bit in college. I've used this technique in many different ways, so I wanted to talk about it. I felt comfortable and kind of passionate about this one. So first you have to assess how you will teach it. This technique really focuses on vocabulary, and it assesses what the student knows before the lesson even begins. So the first step is you need to provide students with a list of important words at the beginning of the reading unit and have them write out the vocabulary words on the chart shown on the bottom left corner. You can see the vocabulary words I've chosen are bolded and they're also on the table. I chose to make an example out of To Kill a Mockingbird because I read this in high school and many high schoolers read this, if not all of them. So I wanted to make it really relevant to something that is done frequently. I just chose a little passage in the book. You can choose a chapter or many chapters, or if you already have vocabulary words in mind for a lesson, this will be great for it. I just chose a few vocabulary words in the passage so I can go through and make an example of how the understanding and comprehension can be increased by using this technique. The next step is to ask students to complete the chart before the lesson begins by rating each vocabulary word according to their level of familiarity and understanding. The students will write a plus sign by the word if they have a high degree of understanding and comfort and knowledge about that word altogether. They will write a check mark if they are pretty uncertain about the word. And if the word is brand new to them, they don't really know it at all, they will write a minus sign or negative sign. The plus sign, check mark, and minus sign lets you know as a teacher what the student's understanding is at with that vocabulary word, which is really important because you want to know what your students understand and what you need to work on more. The third step is to have students try to supply a definition and an example for each word. For words with check marks or minus signs, students may have to guess about their definitions and examples. By guessing and not knowing exactly what the definition or an example might be, this helps them want to learn what it actually means. This also helps them think deeper about each word. For example, here is the chart, and for unfathomable, if they know the word, they will put a plus sign and then write the example and definition out. And since they did put the plus sign, the example and definition should be correct. For burden, this might be a check mark. They might know, might not, kind of the middle ground, so the example and definition might not be as solid as it should be. And for aberration, if they put a minus sign, they've never heard that word before and just kind of have to guess what an example and a definition might be. They will keep this table throughout the lesson, and when they do come across a word and they see it in an actual sentence and you guys talk about it in the lesson, they can go back and change it and have the correct example and definition. Them looking back at the chart multiple times helps them learn the word. And like I said, over the course of the reading or unit, allow time for students to revisit their self-awareness chart and add new information and update their growing knowledge about the key vocabulary. The goal is to bring all students to a comfort level with the unit's important terminology. Like I said before, because the students constantly go back and revisit their vocabulary charts, they have multiple opportunities to practice and extend their growing understanding of each word. So how do we make this relevant to secondary students? We can do this through the lesson. Like I talked about, this chart is part of the lesson. You give it to them before the unit, and they kind of guess or fill out the chart. This is just a technique to help them learn the terminology more efficiently. And the chart could also be used as homework as well. This technique can also be used to help students study certain vocabulary words. And this is relevant to students because having a chart made in general about certain words just helps rekindle your memory about certain things, which helps you learn more efficiently and helps you study words. And the studying portion goes beyond the assignment or lesson or homework. It helps them find a technique that can help them study for anything in the future. So this is a long-term technique that students can use if they like it. I've already mentioned some things that this chart improves, but here are some two really big ones. This technique really assesses students' understanding and what they know, which I've said before, but this is really important because teachers need to know where each level of understanding is at with each student. And secondly, putting this in your lesson or using this technique overall increases their comprehension of the whole passage and the vocabulary. And that is my presentation. I hope you guys learned something, and if you have any questions, please contact me.